So this is from the European Central Bank. Apparently, equality is no longer enough. Because, yes, we all had the conversation, and we voted for people in positions of power which decide that equality is no good anymore. Today, on International Women's Day, we need to take it a step further and embrace equity. Now, for those of you who don't know, equity means wealth redistribution. The way it's being promoted is that some people deserve more. The way it's being done is that some people don't deserve shit. So the question is, like, who doesn't get to deserve it? Like, who gets to have their opportunities taken away? And again, we're talking about individuals, right? Like, human beings, and they do not decide on the character of the person. They're going to decide based on arbitrary characteristics. Now, I am on the opinion, which I know is very brainlet and a dumb take, that men and women are there to complete each other. Like, they are equal under the law, but when I look for my wife, I look for a person that has certain qualities that I lack, and when she looked for her husband, she looked for qualities that she lacks, and together we complete each other. As such, men and women create a whole. So, when you take away opportunities from one gender, you're hurting the other. But that's not only the part of the video that I want to talk about. It's how cringe this campaign is, right? Like, it looks so bizarre. You have, like, all these people that I can't relate with because they're far richer than I am, hugging themselves, right? Like, the only thing that I require is from Dead Space to say, make us whole, Isaac. You even have someone in the comments section suggesting that this is an advertisement for this particular product. It's very difficult to disagree. If I was a Russian propagandist, I would use this clip and say that, look, this is what happened when Russia cut the gas. People at the Central European Bank are freezing. All of them. But what I find interesting is that some of these people seem so unhappy to be here. I think the biggest example has to be this lady. Like, if I was at a psych eval and they give you those pictures with different facial expressions and they ask you what emotion is the person experiencing in order to see if you can relate with other people, if you can have empathy. If I were to see this facial feature, I would say sheer terror. Like, someone is threatening her to do this. Am I being crazy? Like, maybe I don't understand human emotions. But it seems to be like, do the thing. No, I'm not doing the... Do the thing or you're fine. Okay, I'm doing the thing. She's not the only one, by the way. Like, there are certain people in this video that definitely do not seem happy to be there. And by the way, I love this one. Everyone has a watch. And I assume, like, the watches are far more expensive than my entire house. But there is this one lady, which is dual wielding. Look at it. She's got two watches. A lot of jewelry as well, but that's fine. You know, like, I have seen people with a lot of jewelry. But she is using two watches in order to maximize her stats. She is going for the min-max build. I know that she's got an Apple Watch and she's got a normal watch. Like, I get that. But, like, if you get an Apple Watch, then don't have a normal watch. Like, you need to pick and choose. Not to mention, I'm pretty sure that she's got a cell phone as well. So she literally has, like, 3 watches. 3 ways of telling the time. It's like what the Russian soldiers did when they came to Romania. When the Red Army during World War II came to Romania. Like, they would steal watches as trophies from the victims. And they would have, like, a hand filled with watches. And they would have some watches around their legs as well. They did that to the German soldiers as well. Maybe this is what the left likes to call generational trauma. Like, they're compensating for that. Oh my god, you know, it's literally support our movement, do the pose. Support the movement, do the pose. Do the pose. Do the pose, your ship. Do the pose. Do the pose. Support, do the pose. By the way, is it just me, or is it that hugging yourself is very narcissistic? And it's also a little bit sad. Like, again, they are doing this gender war, fighting against the idea that men and women are supposed to be together. So I guess this is progressive. This is the future, where you just have to hug yourself. It makes sense if you think about it. But, like, people do not like hugging themselves. Like, when you go to social media and you notice how people present themselves, do people hug themselves in their Facebook profile? Do you know anyone that does that? Because I genuinely don't. Like, it's the most narcissistic thing, and it's also sad. It's like, okay, so you do not have, like, any other person that can hug you? The person that came up with this message,
Really poor message. You know, really, really depressing message to send to people. Where you gotta hug yourself. Like, you're lonely, you're miserable, right? Like, you may be at the highest corporate ladder ever. You might be at the European Central Bank, but you're alone. There's literally no other people. Like, it's such a gloom message when you think about it. It's not going to resonate with the peasantry. Like, they are sitting there alone with a wall behind them, hugging themselves. Isn't that fucking sad? It's like, all the wealth that they're having is not going to replace the lack of human companionship, because they have to work probably like 12 hours a day and stuff. And also, notice how there's not a single person of color. Like, everybody is white in this picture, right? Everybody's white. 2023. Doesn't Germany have a vibrant community of minorities? Like, where are they? What did they do to them? What happens with the minorities when they get to the European Central Bank? Do they marginalize them further? What are the minorities? Not a single trans woman as well. And on International Women's Day. Not a single trans woman. I guess like they keep them for next year, right? Like the apparatchiks, which designed this very beautiful and cathartic message. They need to have a little bit of bread for next year as well. So they need to come up with a different campaign. And then they get to add the people of color. By the way, if she doesn't count, I think she just has tan. Look, I'm sorry if she's French, isn't she? Like, she's from the French government. How much money was spent on this, do you think? And it's so ambiguous, it's so vague. It's like, oh yes, we promote equity. They don't know what equity means. I am willing to bet none of these people know what equity means. The people that have the message directed towards them, right? Like the people that this message is supposed to be inflicted upon, they don't know what equity means. But it sounds cool, right? I mean, it is what it's for, helping women. It's like, okay, well, you know, helping people is nice. Unless it's at the detriment of someone. And the question is, like, at whose detriment? Like, if you're a woman, do you want to know that there's a campaign that's at the detriment of your son? Or your husband, or your brother, or your father? It's like, why should there be things that are detrimental? Why can't we have meritocracy? Like, equality was nice when it was equality of opportunity. Like, everyone should be allowed to take a chance and have an attempt at it. And the people who are good get to be promoted. The people who aren't good get to try something else. Like, just because you don't have what it takes to work at the European Central Bank doesn't mean that you can't work in IT. Doesn't mean that you can't work in the medical system. Like, surely there are other jobs. You know, maybe you're not good for the European Central Bank. That's fine. It's not the end of the world. You can become an astronaut. But anyway, right, I guess, you know, if you're not good enough, we have equity, so you're going to get in there anyway. Maybe you too can be part of the next financial crisis. Let me know what you guys think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.